Boom. All right. So, hey everybody, and welcome to the new Where's Mom blog web series. We're talking about all things moms, with moms, for moms. And today we're chatting it up with Kara, who's the mother of one, Raquel, who's the mother of two, and Tressie, who's the mother of three and a grandmother of one.
Nice.
So, and we're talking about every mom's favorite, labor and delivery. So we're just gonna jump right on in. Feel free to just speak up. We're gonna talk about how many times did you actually think you were in labor before you actually went into labor?
I probably thought I was in labor for a good 2 weeks before I actually went into labor. I did not sleep. I was up every night. Braxton Hicks every night, back pain, crazy, like just it was no. No.
That's why you want it done.
Yeah. Oh, I did not enjoy pregnancy. I was not one of those like, oh, beautiful butterflies and birds and everything's singing. No, I was like, what the hell is this? What? Nobody told me about this.
It's like, this was not in the baby book.
No, it was definitely not in the baby book. It was like 2 sentences in the baby book. And I was like, of course, I'm the 2-sentence girl.
Yeah, it was. Asia was my first. I was 22 years old. Asia was, I think I had Asia in like 8 hours. But Asia was, it was something different. I really thought a brick was coming through. But I was determined to be awake for all of my children because my mother, who will be 80 in May, and I'm the baby, she always said, I was asleep when I had y'all. And I said, how we know we yours? Any baby in the thing. I was like, you didn't see your kids? So my determination was, I'm going to be up. I'm going to be aware of and look in my baby's face so I can know that's my baby. Like, that is really my true story. I was like, how will you sleep? But back then, that's what they did.
That's what they did.
And then you woke up and they handed you your baby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you sure we yours?
I wish they would have did that to me with Aaliyah. I was like, put me to sleep. They wouldn't even give me a shot in the butt cheek. You know, that butt cheek shot. They was like, no, ma'am, that's not going to help you.
How long was Aaliyah?
Aaliyah, I say she came, and she was the fourth. So, you know, usually the fourth, they come faster and faster.
Yes.
Aaliyah, I went into labor. My water broke at Josh's baseball pitchers.
Oh.
And she was a whole grand finale, but we'll get into that later. But I was in labor with Aaliyah, maybe 3-4 hours. Like, it was like, boom, boom. It was a whole showcase with 911 and paramedics and the nurse, me assaulting the nurses. Like, it was a whole show.
Wow.
But she was like 4 hours. Josh, I was in labor for 27 hours. He was my first. And they sent me home twice. I was like, let me tell y'all something. I had to ride over railroad tracks to get here.
You was in the country then, right, girl?
I was in Charleston. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
2 sets of railroad tracks to get here. You gonna take him out now? And they was like, no, it's still too early. You're just starting labor. I was like, so if we know I'm in labor, why can't I stay? Can I go to the cafeteria or something?
No.
It was like, nope, go home. I was
probably was irate. They're like, send her home. That was it. Like when I had Asia, it was a girl that was in the next room at Killenberg. And at Killenberg, and she was screaming, and I was like, why is she screaming? Why is she screaming? But she was like 19.
Oh, wow.
And they literally sent her home. They was like, you're not ready, So they sent her home. Because I was like, is that what childbirth is? Me screaming like that? But Asia was so good. I think my first scream was her head coming out. And like I said, it was like bricks. I was like, it is a ragged edge brick coming out of my.
Yes.
But I was up. I would not take anything. I never had what's the shit in the back? Epidural?
Yeah.
The epidural.
Never had that. All three of my kids, I wanted natural birth. My third child, Kenyon, I had a midwife. I was living in Pennsylvania. I had a midwife. They kept telling me, but they were telling me with all my kids that I had twins. And I was like, there's no twins. I just carry big babies.
Big as hell.
Big as hell. Like, there's no twins. And Asia was 8'6". India was 8 pounds exactly. She was my smallest child. Kenyon was 9'1", and Kenyon was 3 weeks early.
Oh, wow.
My midwife said, if you carry him the full term, you're gonna have to get a C-section. I said, I don't want a C-section. But they said, as big as he was, his lungs, they worry about the lungs and everything being developed. But he ended up being an RSV baby. And he was on the nebulizer. But that's the chance I took. But, he was my longest. Kenyon was 18 hours of labor. Asia was 8 hours. India was 6 hours. Kenyon was 18 hours of labor. Yeah.
Jason, the labor wasn't so long with Jason. I always say if Jason came first, there'd be no Josh. I always say Josh played me. He played me because he was such an easy pregnancy. Aside from the morning sickness, he was such an easy pregnancy. He was an easy delivery. The labor part wasn't a whole lot of fun because I was 21. I was in South Carolina away from all my family. It was just me and my husband at the time. And he was only 20. And he he was no help. He was on the phone with the doctor like, she's screaming. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Somebody help. It's just us. Like, so his family wasn't there. My family wasn't there. He calling the neighbors. Neighbors is like, you got this. I'm like, I don't want them in here. I'm on the toilet naked, screaming like,
no.
So, but with Jason, he kept getting stuck. He came out and his collarbone kept getting stuck with my pelvic bone. So he was prairie dogging. He was out and out. And so they finally reached in and they had to turn him and move it, wiggle him out. Because I was like, listen, y'all, I'm about to pass out if I got to push this big ass head out one more time. Because y'all seen Jason, his head.
I'm talking about my baby.
He got mama's head. He got his mama's head. Can't do nothing about that. But I was like,
Well,
y'all better get him.
I'm like, if Alani is my second, and if she was my first, there would be no second. Sarai was born. My first one was born, took 7 minutes. I labored. I remember I started going into labor right after the Mayweather fight.
Oh, wow.
And the Mayweather fight was done around 1. I started feeling contractions around, let's say 4 a.m. Maybe 4 a.m. And I was just thankful she let me finish the fight because we just paid for it. I was like, I would hate that to leave. So let's say around 4 a.m. I started feeling contractions, and I went through the entire day. I didn't head to the hospital till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I had a doula, and I remember the doula kept calling and checking in on me because she had a little ways to drive. And I was chilling. I was polishing my nails. I was on my little birthing ball. I was doing my thing, taking little walks around the block. Nothing was happening. And then finally she calls and checks. She says to my husband, like, I don't know, man. She sounds really calm. Like, what's her pain levels like? What's her intensity? She sounds really, really calm. He was like, oh, she seems okay. So I was in the bathroom and he goes, what are you doing in there? I said, I feel like I gotta poop. And she was like, don't poop.
Please don't poop.
That's
right. I don't
not
want to freak you out, but get her to the hospital because that's the day to tell her not to poop. And we made it from West Orange to Summit in less than 11 minutes.
Oh, wow.
My husband was gunning it on the house. And then when we got to the hospital, I did not even get time to really check in. I put my gown on, and by the time I got to the bed, the baby just was there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
7 minutes, like I barely even got to register. 7 minutes she was there. Now my second one, she, I think her contraction started around 1 a.m. and it was like intense contraction. She didn't come until damn near 5 o'clock that evening. So,
Oof.
and she was like, she came out of the womb like this, like, why y'all bothering me? Why you
It's
waiting
the
like a genie
second
out the bottle? Yeah.
It's
So
always the second one.
they told me this, the second ones would be quicker, but that was a lie. She took her sweet time, but
That is such a lie when they try to tell you that as you go down the line and have more kids, it's going to be easier. That's why I said Kenyon, I walked. They had to, and it probably was because he really wasn't ready to come
Mhm.
because he was 3 weeks early. But if I had to go the whole 3 weeks and wait, he probably would have been, he would have been over 10 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Because my husband was 10 pounds.
Wow.
My brother, one of my brothers were 10 pounds. So he would have been big, but they kept telling me all through that pregnancy, they can hide behind each other. I said, there's no twins. I guarantee there's no
I promise you it's just one.
Yeah, I was like, it's one baby. Like they went to 7 months, kept saying, the babies could hide. And I was like, I don't understand what y'all are not getting. It's just one big baby in me. And he's there. And he was 9-1, 3 weeks early. But I walked that hospital in Pennsylvania for 16 hours. I just kept walking and walking because I went in that morning so they can induce my labor. And I walked in and but I was feeling it just walking, and they was like, yeah, it's good to walk it down. I think Kenyon was born at 8:36 p.m.
Oh wow.
They induced my labor at 5 a.m.
Oh.
Wow.
And I just walked and walked and walked and walked the whole day, just walking. But you know what? I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't do anything different. Everybody have their stories about labor, and everybody's story is different, and it should be, because
Right.
none of us are the same.
Yeah.
So yes. So you know what? I just it's an experience. It's something different. Like when my daughter Asia was going through it, and not to put this, but Asia went through losing twins, and then losing another child after the twins. Now I have my grandson. God bless. He's a blessing from God. Yes. And it's just, she was like, mommy, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm like, I can assist you, but I can't tell you because you're going to be different from me.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be different from me. Like it's,
advice, though.
yes. And you know what? And then MJ was pretty much like that. And like you said, Raquel, she was on that ball, rolling.
Yep.
Like the day before she went to have them, she's sitting in my kitchen. I swear, on the ball. She said, "Mom, when got the ball?" I said, "Well, you should have went home with the ball. Why you here with the ball?" Go home. She in my kitchen, sitting on the ball. And I was like, what is
trying to
that?
make something happen.
But listen, that's what I'm saying. Even though if it's your child, if it's you, however it rolls, everybody's different. How the outcome comes about.
Yeah.
And even with the multiple children, because like I have 4 kids, 4 completely different pregnancies, 4 completely different deliveries, 4 completely different labors.
Yes.
Cynthia, I was in Walmart in the scooter in labor with Cynthia because I had the 2 boys at home and nothing in the fridge. And I'm like, I gotta get some groceries before we go to the hospital. My sister was walking behind me in Walmart, like, can we please go to the hospital now? And then it was April Fool's Day. So Walmart employees thinking we playing. And she's like, no, this baby, my sister like, y'all about to deliver a baby because she ain't listening. And I'm like,
I can see you and Nikki right now.
And she extra loud. So I'm in the scooter and she like, you want
what you doing? She give her hair the baby. We give her
by now
she like, where the rubber gloves at? I just want to have I'm like, if you don't go somewhere.
Get some of them clean towels.
And then we finally get to the hospital. We finally get to the hospital and they told me, oh no, you're not in labor. I'm in all of this pain. They done gave me the morphine, the shot in the hip. And I'm like, I am in pain. I know labor. I have 2 babies. You swear you know everything. I got 2 babies.
What's the shot in the hip?
Instead of the epidural, like to try and hold off the pain and give you a little shot to take
like a Demerol?
Yeah,
was it like Demerol? Like that pain just to help
just to ease the contractions. And I was like, okay. And then it was like, you're not in labor. You've been here 3 hours and there's been no change. She was like, you just having all these pains. I was like, ma'am, don't play with me. And my sister and Krista was there and they was like, well, we hungry. We rushed this. She was like, we gonna go get something to eat. So by the time we get back, you gonna be ready. I was like, all right, fine. I was mad. I was huffing and puffing. And then as soon as they walked out, my water broke.
Oh.
And I was like, and I looked over at David and I was like, hand me the remote. I'm pressing the call button. And I pressed the call button. I was like, my water broke. Don't discharge me. They was like, oh. I'm like, so even they get it wrong. Even the doctor, they don't know. It's so
don't know.
Random.
You don't know.
So random. They was like, okay, I guess you are having a baby. And literally my water broke probably at like 1 a.m. Cynthia was here within 3 hours. Like Krista and Nikki didn't even make it back for when she came. What about you, Kara?
Oh my God, it was a nightmare. It was definitely no fun. So the morning that I was apparently going into labor, because I had no idea, my father-in-law had a heart attack. And so he was in the hospital. And so my husband's like, so I have to go to the hospital with him. And I was like, well, I have my appointment today. So they were trying to make sure that I delivered on time. They didn't want to have to induce me. I didn't want to have to be induced. So they kept, what do they call it? Scraping the membrane or whatever it is that they do, where they, very painful, very, very painful. So I had that scheduled for that day. That was my doctor's last ditch attempt because I was also 40. So they considered me to be
high risk.
Oh yeah, geriatric in their
Stop.
True, they really did. They sounded every stinking alarm with me. I was so terrified by the time. Anyway, so heart attack. And I said to my husband, today's the day I'm going to go into labor. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I was like, okay, all right. As long as we both know, great. So my doctor was in New York. And what I had to, long story short, I had to deliver in New York and keep my doctor there. So I was living in Jersey City at the time, got into town on the train, got to 34th Street, paid my bill at Macy's, and then decided I was going to walk all the way down to Union Square. And I did.
Just asking for it.
I swear, I'm like, you walk from the Macy's to the Union Square, girl. Yeah, girl.
New York City blocks.
Hello.
I'm like, we got to get. And now, ladies, I worked until I was 39 weeks. And I worked on my feet in the restaurant industry. So I was on my feet from like 3:30 in the afternoon until 2:30, 3:30 in the morning, depending on how lazy I was. Towards the end, I took cabs. But anyway, so I get to the doctor and everything's running late. So I end up cooling my heels there, walking back and forth, like you said. Just had to keep moving. But I didn't realize I was in labor. I had no idea. Finally going to see the doctor at 4:45 and she's like, so you're in labor. And I was like, what? This is it? Like, what do you mean? Oh, okay, this isn't bad. All right. So she's like, well, I'm going to send you to the hospital. You go to the hospital, you'll be good. We'll do your membrane sweep really quickly. Hopefully it'll make it easier for your delivery. I was like, okay. She's like, all right, I'll see you in a while. I was like, oh boy, walk my way to the hospital. So I had to go all the way down to Second Ave.
Was you still
Oh yeah,
walking?
I walked the whole way. I was like, the hell with this shit. This kid's got to come out.
I
I hated
bet-
it. I was like,
Done, you
since
done,
our pregnancy. Yeah, I was so done. And I get to the hospital and they're like, no, you're not far enough yet. And I was like, Jesus Christ, please help me. Somebody help me. Okay, fine. All right, I'm leaving. But that was when the real pain began. So that was really when, so I ended up, long story short, getting myself all the way back to the train to get myself back to Jersey City. Found one really nice lady on the train who was kind enough to yield her seat to me and like just lambasted the guy who refused to next to her, and got home, and it was pretty awful from there. I ended up spending lots of time in the shower, and by 11:30 at night, that was when I was like, that's it, we're going. I don't care. I've never felt pain like this in my entire life. This has got to end, please. So husband drove me into New York. I've never realized how many potholes there were
Oh my gosh.
from Jersey City
Yes.
all the way into lower Manhattan, because I delivered on the Lower East Side. So that was exciting. Get in there, and they assigned me to the most evil nurse in the entire universe. She was Nurse Ratchet for sure. She was awful. She was mean. She like strapped the monitor onto my belly as tightly as possible. And I was like, please God, this pain must stop. Now, they were supposed to put me in a room that had a bath. I specifically wanted a bath. Paying all this money in fucking insurance, I better get a bath. So I didn't get a bath. I got a shower. I was like, all right, fine. So I'm going to stand in the shower, but then the lady wants the monitor on me. So I can't stand in the shower with the monitor on me because I'm geriatric. Remember, I'm old. So they're like, sure, I'm going to die at any moment, or the child's going to die. And I'm like, ladies, we've been doing this for how many years? We are women. We will get these children out. Please let me stand. No. Okay, fine. I'm not allowed. Had to go to the bathroom so bad, thought I was going to die. The only thing I remembered from my mom's stories of childbirth was never get on the toilet. So I did not do that. At least it was pure torture. The lady was awful.
Yeah.
I had one good nurse that slipped in and talked me into an epidural because I just couldn't take it. My husband was, like you said, like, just what do? I have no idea what to do. I'm going to play my video games on my phone and I'll take a nap. By the way, I snore really loud, and I'm just like dying over here.
That's a
Finally,
damn
give me
job.
the epidural. I'm like, all right, maybe I can get some rest by now. Baby's still not coming. I remember closing my eyes, and I remember thinking, all right, this isn't so bad. All right, I can finally relax. I hadn't slept in 24 hours probably at that point. I was exhausted. And then all of a sudden, I get woken up. And I've got like doctors all around me, and they're waking me up. They're like, the baby's almost here. You've got her. She's crowning. It's time. You have to. It's time to push. And I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing. Nothing is happening. They're like, we're going to use whatever the suction cup thing is, and we're going to pull her out that way. Try the suction cup thing. Didn't work. All of a sudden, I don't know what happened. Doctors descended from every direction. My husband was pushed out of the room. And before I knew it, I was put onto another gurney and taken into an emergency C-section. They said that my blood pressure and my daughter's blood pressure dropped to 18 almost simultaneously. So we practically died right there. And so they immediately just get me in there and just immediately start cutting me open. And the first thing I do is start screaming because I can feel it. Now, mind you, ladies, I had that epidural. So I don't understand, why can I feel this? And that's what I'm screaming. Why can I feel this? How come this hurts? I can feel. And they're like, you can feel this? And I was like, yes, that's a scalpel. I feel it. That's it. Stop. And they were like, why can she feel it? So they're cutting me open, and then they roll me over slightly. And sure enough, the epidural was knocked out of the bottom of my back. So then they have to put the epidural back in, and then they start running like an IV to like medicate me as heavily as they possibly can. And then like, I shit you not, ladies, they had to pull her out the other way. She was crowning. They had to pull her out the other way. I was like, oh my God. At the end of it, I thought to myself, I just should have scheduled a damn C-section. Why did I torture myself? I wouldn't have had that whole awful experience with the nurse, with the having to go to the bathroom, with the not being able to get a bath. It would have just been easier. So they finally, whatever, my daughter was great. She registered a 10 on the APGAR or whatever the top score is on that. And I finally got to see her. That was like my only prayer there, was really just to see her. And they finally, I think I was the last one that actually got to see her, now that I think about it. But that was, once I saw her, I was like, okay, you're alive, you're good. And they put me into post-op. I like got a little bit of a nap, but it was awful. It was absolutely awful. And I was traumatized. And
This is why
sure
she only
he
has
was.
one.
I think
This is
the
why,
worst
you know,
that's the worst story I've ever heard.
I swear,
I'd be the scariest birth story. I'm so happy I didn't hear that story before having my own.
Right.
Raquel, I'm
glad-
sitting over here like, what had happened?
well, and my
Well,
mom
that's
passed
my
away.
fear.
She's
my
been
fear is
gone
getting
since
cut.
2003. So I didn't have like a mother figure or really anyone that I could ask for advice from. And because it was like the beginning of Obamacare in New York, where I lived, they had their own state thing. It wasn't part of the federal program. And it was so new that they didn't even know in the state how to handle it. And so whatever insurance I chose was apparently the wrong one, because they kept telling me that they didn't accept it. And I was like, why am I paying $350 for like the top tier of insurance if like Mount Sinai won't even take me? Turns out they were all wrong, because it was so new. So I'm really not vilifying them. They didn't know any better either. I didn't know any better. I wish I'd had ladies out there, please get a doula, get a midwife, have someone who's going to be able to guide you through this, because
They are
you need to know your rights as a mother, and you need to be able to take a stand for yourself. But you can't, so you have to put that into some kind of birth plan. I highly recommend a birth plan and trying to stick to it. Obviously in my situation, I couldn't have necessarily stuck to it.
But that's where I end up with Asia, with my daughter. Speaking on her, we end up having to get, because Ashley Taylor's doctor that delivered Cameron, he was a Black midwife. I didn't know about her, but Asia had already experienced losing the twins, and then losing another son. So then Aunt Nini said, where is she going? What is she doing? And I was like, she can't go back there. We're trying to find a new doctor, blah, 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 blah. But when she was in the hospital with the babies, I was like, I got to find somebody for her, because she actually went to who my OBGYN was.
Oh, wow.
But he was my OBGYN later, after my kids were born, because my sister-in-law recommended him, Allison. And I went to him, and I did. I was cool with him, and I liked the way things roll. So I gave that recommendation to my daughter. But he wasn't right for her. He wasn't on top of things. She didn't have to lose the babies if he was on top of things. And paid attention to her and what was going on with her, because her situation is what probably a lot of women have to do this. They have to get stitched. After 14 weeks, they have to get stitched.
Oh,
both my sisters did.
Wow.
They have to get stitched. And if he was paying attention and not on vacation in Florida with his kids and telling his nurses, oh, she's fine, she's good, everything's good, she would have been okay. But God will is God will. That's how I see things. God will is God will. How everything work out is how it's supposed to work out.
And with that, I'm big on doctor's not always right. Especially even when you're pregnant, your mama instincts start right then and there.
Yes.
Something's not right. And it's okay. It's okay to say, I'm not comfortable with you. I'm gonna find somebody else.
But that's what I said to her. But Milton was like, Mom, I don't like him. Mom, I don't like him. And I said, well, do y'all need to find somebody else? Like, what do you? And they just like, no. But you have that, and then you have this. You know what I'm saying? It was hard, but she liked him like I liked him. He was a Jewish younger doctor, but when Angel called me and said, I'm bleeding, I'm spotting, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not good. And then when she called and they was like, oh no, that's fine. I said, no, it's not fine.
Yeah, no.
Not fine. Because like I said, he wasn't my doctor when I was birthing, because Asia, India, and Kenya, I swear after about 5 months, I was taken out of work because I was spotting. So that's a problem. When a woman is carrying a child and she's spotting, something's not right.
Agreed.
Right. I mean, they put me on bed rest with Jason. That was the worst, most boring time of my life. But but he's here. You know, I had diabetes.
Oh wow.
Exactly.
So I was like, okay, fine. I'm gonna sit
It's
my
a
ass
sign.
in bed and I'm gonna wait because I want my baby to make it. So
It's a sign. Anything, a fever on just regular daily basis. It's a sign that something's not right.
Yeah.
It's a sign. If God give you signs, those are your signs. Why aren't you doing something about it? And that's the problem. And I like I said, I love who her doctor is. They have the whole clinic. I don't know if you know Ash, the whole over there in Union, where it's midwives. It's midwives. I believe in midwives.
Yeah.
that's going back to the birth plan and the midwives and I wish with Aaliyah, you know, but I'm a veteran. I know better. I'm this is my fourth baby. I got this in the bag. Like, I wish I didn't go ahead.
Like, yeah, I got this.
I was like, I got my sister. I got my homegirl. We got a plan. We good to go. You know, I ended up curled up in the fetal position in the bed, assaulting nurses screaming, somebody better give me an epidural. Because neither of these bitches showed up when I called. So I got my Josh was, how old was Josh at the time? 9. I got him running around the house looking for the phone to call 911 because I'm in the car and I can't get out and get in the house. So I'm like, go tell Pop-Up to call 911. He forgot the whole Pop-Up part. He's like, nah, I got this, Ma. So he's trying to call 911. I get out, I hobble in the house. My dad in the damn kitchen washing dishes. Josh, I'm like, what the? I'm like, Daddy, call 911. And my dad, he's old school. My dad is 70 years old. He's old school. He made his sister drive herself to the hospital when she was in labor. He like, anything that got to do with lady parts, don't call me.
You don't want no problem.
That was like, I have nothing to do with that.
He was like, and he grabbed the phone, called 911. Now I'm in the bathroom. I don't know why. I always go to the toilet, even though they say don't go to the toilet. I'm in the bathroom. He from the top of the stairs because he refuses to come down. They want to know. I'm like, would you? He was not coming down them steps. So I had to hobble back up and I collapsed on the couch. Now I'm collapsed on the couch, talking to 911. My dad then dropped the phone and went back in the kitchen to finish washing the dishes. He's like, you on your own. I already had called my sister and said, hey, I think my water just broke. Where are you? She's like, okay, did you call Chrissy? I said, yeah. She said, okay, I'm leaving work now. I called Chrissy. Hey, my water just broke. She said, did you call Nikki? Yeah, she's leaving work now. She's like, okay, I'm on my way too. Neither of these bitches left work. I'm gonna just put that out there because they figured the other one was. So now I'm laying on the couch 20 minutes later, like, where's my ride to the hospital?
Oh my
911's on the way. I got my friends from high school walking through the door because he's a paramedic. The other one's a firefighter. I was like, y'all, this end. You're not standing down there staring at my hoo-ha. I know y'all. They was like, okay. My friend's mom walked in off the street. I was like, what are you doing? It was like a scene from a movie. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I was riding by. Like, and then as they get me on the stretcher and they wheeling me out, who pulls up but these two, both with food,
I told him
because they stopped to get something to eat because they figured it was going to be a long night.
I hope they have something for you. I hope they have something for you.
Man, listen, I was in that ambulance cussing my sister out. She snapping selfies and making videos. And
This is who, Aaliyah, or this is
this was Aaliyah. This is why I
Aaliyah.
call her the grand finale. I got to the hospital at 8.5 centimeters. They was like, "Oh, you can't get no epidural." I said, "The devil is a goddamn lie." I crossed my legs and I sat there. I was like, "You gonna give me an epidural?" Because I had an epidural with all three, the other three. I was like, "You gonna give me an epidural?" They was like, "We can't." I was like, "I can't push this baby out. How about that?" And they thought I was playing. It got to the point where they was like, "It's time to push," and I said no, like a toddler, and curled up in a ball. Wrap my arm through the railing of the bed, my leg through the railing of the bed, and I was crying. My sister's like, "You being ridiculous." I was like, "Shut up, bitch, because if you came when I told you, I would have got the epidural." I'm cussing everybody out. I'm swinging on the nurses every time they try to check me. Don't come near me. I'm cussing them out. The one nurse tried to come in and be bold and grab my ankles, and she talking about something. Listen, you know you're a vet. I straight horse kicked. She hit it like the Matrix. I guess she used to this. She was like, "Oh," and my foot was like, and that's when Chrissy dropped my arm and was like, "I'm not touching her." And she walked to the other side of the room and sat down and was like, y'all on your own. So she abandoned me. So my sister and my nurse is trying to pry me off the damn railing, talking about, "You gotta push, you gotta get this baby out." And I was like, "I ain't gotta do shit." Like literally, I'm cussing them all out. So then I guess they did some kind of eye signal. So the nurse flips my ankles over. She got my ankles and my sister got my arms. So now I'm in labor. Arms up, legs spread, they holding them. And she's like, "Now push." And I'm like,
the same way you got there. Now you in labor the same way you got there.
Exactly. I'm like, this is exactly why I'm like, and it was just a fiasco. And then she finally came and it was like, "Oh, my baby." Y'all see it. And I had to apologize to all the staff the next morning. And they was like, "Girl, we used to it." I was like, I ain't never in my life ever experienced that. Josh, they had to wake me up to push. I pushed twice and he was here. 5 minutes. 7:09 to 7:14, he was here. Cynthia had meconium, so they had to, it was a quiet birth. It was like, "Okay, we're gonna get her out, we're gonna take her." So, but of course the nurse, she tried to use one hand and the baby is slippery when she's covered in poop. So she dropped her on me. So it ended up being a whole nightmare, screaming, hollering. But she ended up fine. She was in the NICU for like 2 days. They was like, "She might be here for 2 weeks. She got some in her lungs." Cynthia was like, "I'm going home." Newborn. She took her feeding tube out. She took her IV out. She was like, "I'm going home. The hell what y'all say." And she sure enough came home 2 days.
Yeah, these
But
babies
Jason,
are resilient. They're really resilient.
exactly.
And you know, it's interesting because I remember with my first one, I was a complete opposite from the story. Like my doula showed up. I don't know how she got to the hospital as quick as she did. She was coming from Washington, New Jersey. And she said that she told me that she didn't really trust when she was talking to me. So she had started making the drive a little bit earlier. Because every time she asked me, I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine. She said, "Nah, something ain't right, yo." So she started earlier. But I remember when she got there, my doula is just a heaven sent. I just love her to this day. I just love her to pieces. And I remember when she got there, she was wearing this beautiful floral skirt, like this real flowy kind of floral skirt. And I remember when I started feeling, because you know, when it's your first one, you're confused. You don't know what's happening. You can't get the sense of, you don't know whether to push everything. Every instinct tells you to kind of squeeze and hold, but you know, you gotta let it go. It was very confusing. And I remember I just didn't want to crap myself, yo. That's all I was concerned about. I was like, my husband's here. It's too much. We can't recover from this. Like, I don't know if we can survive a crap situation.
You cannot recover from that, Raquel. You cannot.
I said I just didn't want to go out like that. So I remember I felt everything happening and I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know which end it was coming out. I didn't know what was happening. And I said to my doula, I said, "Just step back a little bit. I don't want to mess up your skirt." Such a pretty skirt. And then when my water finally broke, I looked over the side of the bed and said, "You good? Did I get you?" So I remember the nurses kept saying, "Wow, you are so polite. And I was just thinking, like, I don't want to go out like that. I don't want nobody talking about me in the cafeteria about how I, crap they skirt. Like, come on, back up. So, yeah, it was definitely, but 7 minutes, and you know what was funny too, when the baby came out, she just kind of like, they put her kind of like between my breasts and my abdomen, and she kind of scooted. She scooted her way to the boob, and her eyes were still kind of closed, but it's like she kind of sniffed me out like a little puppy and scooted her way to the boob and just started suckling.
Oh,
I thought, damn, so this is God. This is what God looks like. Because I mean, a baby can't even crawl, but she just kind of like,
they know, it's instinct.
And I'll tell you, in that moment, I said, I'll do this 10 more times. If it can go down like this, I'll do it 10 times.
Wow.
Everything about you. Yes. Oh, yes. They know.
No matter what, after
they
each
know.
one, I'm like, I do it again. I'm like, I do it again.
Even that hard-headed second one.
No, I'm not gonna do it again.
I mean, I shut
that
factory down, but I'm just saying that feeling.
That feeling when you look at them, when they
that feeling, yes.
That's that feeling that make you go in at night and make sure they still breathing, even though they like 6. You still go in there, because this is
even if you don't feel.
Yeah,
like,
it.
But even if you don't feel like.
Go ahead, Raquel. I'm sorry.
No, please. I think there's a slight delay. But even if you don't feel like, yeah, I'll do it again, you'll be like, it was worth it.
Yes.
It was worth it.
It was worth all of that.
Most definitely.
Comfort, all of that uncertainty, all of that fear. You look at them, and it sounds.
But this is the thing. No, it's not corny. It's not corny. But this is what it is. When you have the next one, you forget about all that you went through for the first.
All of it.
It's not even a thought in your mind. It's not even a thought in your mind when you have that next one. Right. And like Ash, you have 4. You had the most. I had 3. It never was a thought in my mind after each one what I went through with the first one or the one before that. It was never a thought in my mind.
And even with me tying my tubes, it wasn't the labor, the delivery, the pregnancy, the complications. It wasn't any of that. It was, I can't afford no more. That's all that was. I have 10, 15 kids if I can afford it, because it's so worth it.
It was enough is a damn enough. That's it. I'm not doing anymore.
Unless it's the lottery.
And I have Asia, India, and Kenya. They're all 6 years apart from each other. Did you know that?
No. That's like me and my sister.
Asia's my first. India is 6 years after Asia, and Kenyan is 6 years after India.
What?
Oh, wow.
Like my dad. Me and my sisters are 5.5 years. Nikki's 5.5 for me, and she's 5.5 from out.
Yeah, 6 years. There are 6 years. Asia will be 28 this year. India will be 22, and Kenya will be 16.
But how did you go 6 years? Were you just living on a prayer like 16 years? That's a nice stretch.
Raquel, I swear for goodness.
Between, like.
It was not a plan. It was just the way it happened.
Yeah.
I do you one better. I do you one better. Cynthia and Jason, those are my 2 middle kids. Jason is 11. Cynthia is 5. So
can I show my baby? Yeah. Can I show my baby? Say hello. This is Gima. Say hello, lady. That's my grandbaby.
Her face is so
Mwah. He can really leave me. My daughter, that's my daughter, Asia.
Y'all know Asia. She was here with us last week.
Yes, I did. It was fun.
Beautiful.
You ready for the next? She ready for the next one, Ash?
Yeah, right. Because she called me like, because she's a stepmom too. So she got the stepson. She called me like, how do you do 4? How do you do 4? And I'm like, I ignore at least half of them at any given time. That's how you got to do it. Like, you can't just try and do 4 at the same time.
All right.
But then also when
Did you
they're
put my
going
cabbage
to be
soup
have
in it?
some level of independence as well.
Mhm.
You get some breathing.
Okay.
You know, so
Yeah.
they help each other.
Yeah, there's a whole another thing that come with that though, because then it's like, oh, your brother helped you. Is that why it's on inside out and backwards? And oh,
Never mind
okay.
Never mind the details. Never mind the details. Just get it done.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect.
And even with the gap, they told me I couldn't have no more after Jason, before Cynthia, the year before Cynthia, because I had the stroke and the brain aneurysm, and I ended up having the DNC. I had the miscarriage between that time.
Oh my God.
They was like, oh, we do this procedure, you ain't gonna be able to have no more. It's be very slim chance. And then I was like, fine, I don't care. My vagina hates me. I was like, my vagina hates me, just do it. And then the next year, Cynthia was like, what? And immediately after that, Aaliyah was like, don't forget about me. And I was like, shut it down. Shut it down. Y'all played me. Shut it down.
No.
But before we finish up, because we're coming towards the end.
Yeah.
Because my friends call me crazy because what I did. But I want to know, what's the one thing, not pregnancy related, the first thing you did or wanted to do after that baby was out? Because with me, it was eat. 27 hours of labor. And with Josh, when you're in labor and you're eating, that comes right back out. That your body's like, no.
Yeah.
No. So that's why I spent most of my labor with Josh on the toilet, because my fat ass couldn't stop eating. Because I'm like, I ain't ate in 6 hours. I need to eat something. And that junk was like, no, you don't. And I was like, yes, I do. I was like, no, you don't. And then it was so bad to the point where I actually saw my mucus plug come out. And that's something that they don't.
I'm sorry.
Josh, my husband, could not eat a Twix for 2 years after he saw my mucus plug come out.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I feel like we asking a lot from people, yo. Plugs, poop. It's just like, where do we
That mucus plug? That mucus plug is some other world. That's a whole nother.
It was like caramel. I was like, what is that? And he was like, I'm like, I was like, God,
it's all love, though. It's all love.
Well, this is all what it's about. This is how they.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
You know, we gotta bear the burden. So it is what it is.
So what did y'all want to do?
You better pay attention. Look at what is going on, and enjoy it. Appreciate it. Understand what we as women go through to birth children. Some die, some don't. But this is something that men don't really understand or get. But
this is something you look at your husband and you say, you could never.
Yeah.
And they be like,
not ever.
They be like, nope, sure enough, couldn't. Nope.
No, but I think even more than that is there aren't enough discussions like this between women. I don't know about any of you, but I can say for sure, none of my friends who had children, since I was the last one in line, none of them told me what actually was going to happen. No one explained mucus plugs. No one explained the insane bleeding afterwards. No one explained that they're, none of that. None of it.
And with the insane bleeding, them little white mesh drawers that they give you, them the most comfortable drawers on the face of the earth.
I still have some. They let me take so many ladies. I'm not joking. I still have the little baggies I love them.
Wait, and the ice packs that you crack,
Those were the
right
best.
Put it in.
Yeah.
That little squeeze bottle.
You know how you gotta do them wash? You know how you do them betadine wash?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when you get that squeeze bottle, like when you take that first and that water in there,
ooh, Raquel! Won't he do it? Won't he do it, Raquel? Won't he do it?
Like a little slice of heaven, and then you hit him with the hold on, it goes something like this.
Ooh.
That's how it sounds. I'm telling you, when that first squeeze, I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's the first thing. That's the first thing you be like, can I take this with me?
And wait,
But the nurse be like, I'll have a little bag. You have your own little bag. You can take all that with you. Just let me show you. Because you know, they'd be like, let me show you what you have to
wait,
do.
how many receiving blankets did y'all take?
And you can ask Asia. You can ask Asia when she was talking about going into labor. I said, take an empty diaper bag with you. She said,
Oh.
what? I said, an empty. I said, bring your regular. I was like, put the baby clothes in your bag and take an empty. You about to rack up.
Yeah. I got so many diapers, so many blankets, those squeeze bottles. I still have one. The
I was sending
underwear.
stuff home with visitors.
underwear.
I was
Well,
like,
and they
take
like
this.
refilled it several times a day. So they were like, just keep taking it because we'll keep refilling it. And I was like, yeah. I'm the one who takes like the sugar at the restaurant and the little cracker packets. So I was primed. I brought a bag. I was like, they're gonna have stuff. I know it. I'm gonna save money today.
I tell everybody, take an empty diaper bag and take as many
That's
newborn
the whole
as you
thing.
can.
First thing, you
Yeah.
earned it because you
All right, ladies,
Yes.
my family trying
And
to
you paid
my
for it.
family trying to scoot out on me real hard. I told you Ash, it's Milton's birthday today. My
Yes,
son-in-law to be birthday.
yes.
They're trying
But
to.
it's been out. I did want to say with the whole.
We gotta do this again. I don't care. It could be any subject. It don't matter to me.
I got you. I got a whole
Fun.
list. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know. I got a whole list. But if you raise your glass, I want you to toast. Do a toast, and it's time to toast to all that you do for the big ones, the small ones, and tiny ones too.
Yes.
The long days and even longer nights.
Oh,
the, fact
geez.
the fact that you're still here means you're doing something right. So
Amen.
here's to you, ladies.
Toast to you, ladies.
Thank you for a great night. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We will be back again. Have a good night.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
I enjoyed you, ladies.